Introducing the reigning, defending, Inside Fighting host, Robbie Sid Clark.
I'll get right into it because again, it was an exciting fight regardless, and I have some questions here. But just to give you a little bit of an intro for people who don't know, Dat Nguyen, he has been in bare knuckle boxing now. He's had his fourth fight, but he was actually the first Vietnamese American boxer to win a silver medal at the National Golden Gloves, a bronze medal at the U.S. Championships, and even sprinkled in some MMA fights there as well too. So just for people who don't know who you are, I wanted to give that background because, you know, really you excelled in boxing, and a lot of people don't know that, but bare knuckle boxing is really something new to you. So I was going to ask you, which is your favorite sport to train from the three, because it is a very different sport?
You know, I have really ambitious goal. You know, to tell you the truth, I love MMA fighting. Because it's more of a wider, broader spectrum of fighting. You know, you can do kicks and punch and take down. But like I said, bare knuckle is a new sport and is more pure than boxing. You know, boxing is more of a sweet science with the bigger gloves. You know, you can do a lot of different things. You can close the distance a lot easier. Bare knuckle, you know, one punch is, it can cut you and can change the whole fight around, or, you know, so basically I like to be a well-rounded martial artist. That's what it is, you know, because I trained as a little kid martial arts. I trained kickboxing, you know, karate. I did wrestling, so I did all those things.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, and that's why I said it's interesting you said that, because you're like, oh, I'm analyzing my moves. Yeah, it's a very different sport, right? And I know from going in person, I've been to a lot of MMA events, but the first time I went there, it's real. Like one mistake and it's lights out. And there's a lot more cuts too, right, with bare fists?
Absolutely, you know, yeah, because I mean your skin it's so soft and fragile. So one hard thing that you know, can cut you up. And I mean, like I said, in this fight, I didn't get hit from a punch that cut me, but obviously I was cut, and it did you know, blur my vision there, and you know, it kind of changed the fights a little bit because of the cut.
Yeah, that's right. And I think you weighed in at 151, right? So not only did you move up 2 weight classes, like you've seen that. It's very rare, but you see it in MMA. But normally the guys who move up 2 weight classes, they were already big for their weight class. So they're, you know, there might be go from say 145 or 135 to 155 throughout their career, but they're probably 180 by that point. Which is probably what Luis was in during fight time. How did you feel with the size? Did you feel good with it?
Actually, no. I mean, my legs were heavy. You know, I mean, I was probably lighter than 151 by fight time. You know, I probably was below 150. You know, I'm not used to carrying this extra weight, but I said, you know, this is fighting. You know, I mean, you can see the size difference between me and him by fight time. He probably got 30 pounds on me. You know, like I said, I wanted to fight him at 155 so I could capture that title, you know, so to make history. But really, I'm not a 155 pounder. You know, I mean, I could easily make 135. I probably, you know, I did boxing at 126, 130. So.
But it's huge. I mean, and the big thing about it, I was with one of my buddies watching, and I was saying, I'm like, he's going to go forward on this one. And yeah, you were 30 pounds lighter, but you were the one going forward. You were taking the, and this is no disrespect to Luis. I've seen his fights too. He's had some great fights in there. You know, I know it's different when two combatants are fighting each other, but it was pretty crazy to see you with a clear size disadvantage being the aggressor in there. So is that something, do you think he wants a rematch, or that's something that you're pushing for? Do you think that might be in the works?
You know, like he said, I spoke to David Feldman. He's the owner, so he saw the fight live. You know, I don't think he watched the fight on TV, because, you know, when you watch it on TV, you can see more angles. You can see the difference there. So, you know, he thought I won. He said that if I want a rematch, he can make it. So I told him I want an immediate rematch, and you're gonna see a better out of me. And like I said, I don't want to make excuses, but I made some mistake leading up to the fight. That way I couldn't perform at my 100%. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Even still, though, I actually had it scored for you as well too, and I wasn't paying attention like round by round as I go, but just the feeling I got in there, and you both, like, you landed some great shots too. Luis has always been good at defense in bare knuckle boxing, but you know, you were clearly the aggressor. So if all things are even, I thought you winning, but I was super impressed in general because you did exactly what you said you were going to do, man. So yeah, it was a hell of a fight. I'm going to take it back to boxing for a second now, because I think that's just something, you know, again, you really excelled at. You had the huge fight in 2017 against Miguel Flores, which was your last boxing match. Now, do you ever think, I know you were disappointed how that ended, do you ever think that you're going to lace up the gloves again, or have you had now, getting more exposure, doing so well in your last bout. Is there other opportunities out there that you think you might take besides bare knuckle, or are you all in on bare knuckle right now?
Like I said, I'm open to anything that's out there, But like I said, I'm David Feldman. If he hears that, he's not gonna like it because he's trying to build a company here. So if I said that I want to go back to boxing or join MMA, he doesn't like that. That's why when I speak to him, he said, "Look, I don't like you talking about going to a boxing or MMA when I'm trying to build a company here." So right now at this moment, I only want to win all the belts at bare knuckle, and then once the door opens for a bigger money fight between promotions with how Conor McGregor did it with boxing or MMA. My plan was to win this title and then call out Conor McGregor, and I think he would be interested to come to bare knuckle and fight for the 155-pound title, and he has such a big size advantage over me. He would probably take that.
Yeah, he's not a small guy either. That's the thing in mixed martial arts because so wrestling heavy, right? But no, that would be crazy. Do you have any? So is that the only fight you're looking at right now? Do you have plans on going back to 135, or what is your next step if that one's not immediately available?
Whatever the biggest fight that is available for me. Like I said, I proved to people that I could hang with the big boys and put the pressure on him and force him to fight. So whatever is open. David said that fight is available. I don't know if Autumn wants to come back and fight me because he said he retired. So I've been pushing for this fight since I joined the company a couple years ago.
I think that'd be a really fun fight. Of course, be at 155. He did say he retired, but you never know, man. There's people retire and come back all the time. So no, that'd be a really fun fight. I didn't even think about that one because you're right, but that would go well. Now you just said in training you had a couple things that lead up. Were you suffering from any injuries, or was it just a schedule thing that you think you can repair next time?
2.5 weeks leading into the fight, I twisted my back. So I stopped training for a whole week to recover my back. To hurt your back, I can't even bend over. So I was icing it and things like that. So I rest for the whole week without doing anything. So the last 2 weeks, basically I had a week and a half to get ready for this fight because I don't want to let people know, because anytime you're injured, you let the opponent know that, they get a boost of confidence. So it was just me. But another thing leading into the fight, I'm carrying all this extra weight. So I feel bloated. So right at 6 p.m. before the fight, because the fight was 11. So right before I leave to the arena, I was in the sauna for 15 minutes. So, I think I made a big mistake by doing that because I need to break a sweat and lose some of this water weight, because I feel bloated. And maybe I jump in the sauna and sweat, but I think that affected me during the fight because I felt it on my leg that I was, maybe because I was dehydrated, from sweating in the sauna, because I broke a lot of sweat there. And my legs were getting a little cramped up in the later rounds.
So you think actually you'd probably come in, you think 5 pounds later if you guys fought again? What's your natural weight when you're feeling your healthiest?
Like I said, below 150, Below 150. I say my optimal weight, if I come in at 145, my natural walking weight, I'll be a lot faster. My legs is a lot quicker. But if I'm carrying that extra weight on me, I could feel it when I go running and stuff. I'm like, wow, I feel it. My leg is taking the extra weight and it's not used to,
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like I said, I think you really impressed a lot of people, and David himself as well too. Just because you see this all the time. It's almost like you're one of the few guys. BJ Penn comes to mind when he was coming up in weight classes and really didn't care about the weight. You know what I mean? No, most of the time people are going up and it's for a reason. They couldn't make the weight class anymore. But it's funny to see you there and you're like, no, I'm going to come in even lighter. And like I said, you were the aggressor in the ring, so it's really it's cool to see, man. So you genuinely enjoy fighting larger opponents. You don't have any,
right?
You feel good about it.
I have no, like I said, why did I call it Joey Beltran? Unfortunately he lost the fight. I think that fight would have been more fun because Joey is not as technical as Luis. Luis is like I said, we are the two best fighters in the whole company. I did, prize him on his fighting skill, but I thought I was, the better man in that fight, over the weekend. And like I said, David, he always said, look, we want you to come to fight for the fans. And that's what I did. I come to fight. I forced the fight. Luis, he just want to stay on the outside and run. You know what I mean? At first, you could see the first round, he wasn't trying to run. He was trying to dominate his bigger size on me. But once I tagged him, he see how much power that I had. And I think I heard him in the first round, watching the clip. He's like, man, I'm using my feet now. So that's what he did.
Yeah, no, but it's still an exciting fight all around. The event itself, David has done a great job with that sport. It had so many people betting against it for a long time, and it's really coming to light. So, really done great there. Now, a couple questions for you. Back to the boxing round for a second. Who do you think is the greatest boxer active right now?
Canelo, man. Canelo's this is my all-time great right now. And I like I said, I try to fight similar to Canelo style, you know, by never running. If you watch all my fight, I never run, you know. So I'm right there in my opponent making a miss. But you know, bare knuckle is totally different. With glove, I could do what Canelo was doing, you know, being in front of my opponent, let him throw and make him tired. But you know, the rounds was short in bare knuckle. It's only 5 2-minute rounds. In boxing, when you find 12 rounds, 3 minutes, you know, you can slowly force your opponent to exert and be in front of him to be first, and then you eventually break them down. That's why most of the fight ends in not round 9, 10, and 11, because they call those fights championship round. You know what I mean? Championship round. That's when the real champions comes out.
And is that like just for a lot of people speaking here? Do you think that's just because the technique starts to slip when you get really tired, and that's when you show? I know in MMA they sometimes say if they were 100-round fights, you know, Nate Diaz would never lose a fight, right? And it's kind of showing like the technique. Do you think that really wanes supreme as you get there? Because you saw it with Conor, right? Like Conor did decent, all things considered, against Floyd. I know some people say he might have carried him, but he looked like his reaction and speed was there. But then you just see with the inexperience rounds 4, 5, 6. Is that what happens, or what is your take on that?
Absolutely. You know, like, you know, as you get more experience, you know how to pace yourself. You know, you can't run a sprint in a marathon run. You know what I mean? If you do the sprint in the beginning, you will have nothing left in the later rounds. And like we said, bare knuckle pace is a different pace. You know what I mean? You come in there and you jump and you let it go on at the beginning. The way that Palomino's fighting, he might have some success over some lesser boxer, you know, who has the lack of skill, because he has pretty high IQ. And, I mean, like fighting IQ, you know, compared to most of his opponents that he fought. But me, I was just the IQ as him, you know. That's why when I was in front of him, he was very reluctant to throw first. Even though when he threw, I was countering. But like I said, I wasn't performing at my best because I wasn't as sharp as I could be. So if I'm fighting in March or in a couple months from now, trust me, you're going to see a 200% improvement on me.
And is that what you're aiming for, March return?
Yeah, I mean, February or March. I want to get back as soon as possible. I'm gonna see David can give me the date as soon as possible. I said against, I would like I said, I want to fight Palomino. I want to be able to capture that belt, because that fight is like I said, I thought I won that fight. You know, for the judge to score it 5-0, it's totally robbery on that. I mean, he wasn't watching the fight, obviously. You know, Luis said he wants to fight Chad Mendes, but Chad Mendes is a big name from the UFC, and he's fighting in February, I think. So so I don't mind fighting Chad, but I think Chad need to get his feet wet with one fight in bare knuckle first. So that's, you know what? Let me fight Autumn LeBeau for the 145-pound title, and then when I capture that title, we do the rematch with Palomino, or we can get the Palomino rematch right away.
Man, I like all those. Like I said, Artem, everybody loves Artem, right? So that'd be great to get back in. Get him back in for another fight. But you brought up another great name in Chad Mendes. I was going to ask you about that, because that's really cool, again, to be able to bring somebody back like that, and the UFC allowing some of these fighters who were inactive to come over as well too and do their thing. That's a fight you definitely want to have? Are you excited to get somebody like Chad Mendes? I mean, not really in your weight class, but you'll fight any weight class. Are you happy to get somebody in there that you would scrap with?
I mean, like I said, the biggest name possible in the organization right now. Chad Mendes is the biggest, you know, a name right now for my division. So I like to fight Chad Mendes or Palomino for the belts, or whoever David wants to match me up with. You know, like sometimes, you know, like I said, I demand for this fight. I said, David, you know, if you give me this fight, I'll sign the contract with you right away. Because after I beat Bedford, I was basically free. You know, I was free to go to boxing, or free to go to MMA. But the door wasn't as big as I thought, you know. So, you know, maybe I need to be in bare knuckle and build my fans base, because the fans they love a fighter, a true fighter like me, you know, that comes to fight and entertain them.
Yeah, and they put on big events now as well too, so they're right up there with the big ones too, right? So, no, I agree with that, man. And who? Gotta ask you. So obviously you didn't have an issue with the punching power at 155. Well, who's the hardest puncher that you've ever faced in any combat sport?
Really, I mean, I never really felt anybody's power, you know, like they'd never really hurt me. So really, right now, I really haven't faced anybody that said that it's like, you know, a hard puncher. But I said, I mean, like I could feel the difference between the punching power between Palomino and the 135-pounder. It's slightly a little bit different, but he never really let it flush on me that hurts me. You know what I mean? Like I said, I would like to fight him and show a 200% improvement.
Yeah, I mean, a crazy stat about you too, and being a boxer as well too, that I think people know you've literally never been knocked down. You got one knockdown when you were kind of off balance, but it wasn't in bare knuckle fighting, so it was later on. But it was more of an off balance knockdown. You were completely with it. You got up and smiled, and we're back at it. So that's a crazy statistic for any boxer and combat athlete. So I mean, it makes sense. You've not been knocked down, right? You seem so obviously sure of yourself and confident in any situation, your ability to fight different weight classes, like I said. What are you thinking about before a fight? Do you get nervous? Do you visualize? Like, what's the locker room like you before walking out?
Visualizing, you got to study your opponent. If you watch, I fight pretty much almost every opponent is slightly a little different. You know what I mean? When I fought Palomino, I the first round, you could see I was very meticulous with that. Once I felt his power, so I dropped my hand to entice him to come closer. I should have did what Bedford did, point to the center ring and said, look, what I mean, stop running. But, I think that would look ugly on my part because the fans don't want, some fans might love to see that, because actually it plays a very major role in bare knuckle, bare fighting. Because when you do that, you mess with your opponent psychologically, like you're forcing him to come to you, and you show the confidence. So that's why I did what I did. My hands wasn't as high. And, like I said, I should have kept it a little higher and closed the distance more with the jab. I started to avoid the jab in the later round, I should have kept the jab going because I could have just cut him up with the jab only because I had a really good jab. But I was looking, for a knockout too much. Like I said, I wanted to knock this guy out. I dislike him, And once he felt my power, I had a powerful right hand. And he was watching that all night long.
That makes sense. And, it's no secret drama sells fights. I mean, I was definitely more interested in your guys' fights as was a lot of people watching just because of some of the back and forth, right? And how do you feel about that? Because you didn't... do you have genuine animosity towards Luis, or is it combat and you build up that resentment during competition?
It's genuine. It's genuine. Totally genuine. Like I said, we fight again. This time it's going to be worse for him. You know what I mean? He lucky he got away. By me, not like I said, being rusty and not at 100%. And like I said, I make a couple of mistakes in that fight. Like even after 2 rounds, I was clearly winning in my, and I could have just stay right in the center of the ring in the 3rd round, but I was still forcing a fight. Like I said, you can't run a sprint every single round. You can't really, fully exert every single round. Round 3, I could have just take it easy, but the crowd would have probably boo, And I always, have the back of my mind said, David said, look, you come to fight. That's why it's called fighting championship. That's why it is. You have to fight. It's not a boxing match where you're gonna run and expect to win. Especially him as a bigger guy and a champion, and he just decided to run the whole night.
Yeah, I mean, and that's his style too. Like I said, for people who have not watched him as well too, this is why you did so great. He's actually, if you just look at his Sherdog, his last few fights, you're like, oh, who is this? But if you actually look at Palomino's bare knuckle fights, he's transitioned. He's a really good fighter, but he does put up that defensive shell. And like I said, it was clear. I had you on there just even point for point. You were the aggressor, so that's why I had you with the nod there. But overall, it was still a really exciting fight, right? So hopefully David has you back in there in March. That'd be really exciting. And I think the timing. Who else is there? There is no one, right? You would want him at 55. Nobody interests you at 35 right now. Mendes has got his bout in February.
Like I said, 135, maybe if there's a big name that comes there. I think Jared Grant's going to fight Johnny Bedford for the 135-pound title. I don't mind coming down to 135 if the fight is big enough. But right now, really, there's no really big name at 135. 145 makes sense for me. Bringing the big names at 145. 145 would be my optimum performance, because I don't have to cut no weight, and then I don't have to carry that extra weight at 155. So 145, my walking weight, perfect,
Yeah. Now, do you mind me asking, are they paying you more to jump up in these fights? So you're negotiating more for the contract if you're fighting at a higher weight class or more dangerous? Is that part of it as well, or?
I would like it to be, but obviously, like I said, I signed a 3-fight contract, and it is what it is. Like I said, whatever I negotiate for the 3 fight, it's the same amount. And I'm taking the biggest fight out there, the most dangerous fighter out there, and I'm getting paid the same amount. So they could see that, it's not all about the money. It's all about the legacy and trying to, push myself to the top. And like I said, I told David, look, give me those fights. Let me win those fights so the fans see. Then they're going to demand for a bigger fight. So, if the fight is going to be bigger, then I get bigger money, at the end of the day.
Oh, 100%. Opportunities and everything. And at the end of the day, you provide value first. You give the value, you get the value too, right? And fortunately, like I said, it's good to see it here, because in the boxing world, you deserved it, but it's a very promotional heavy game, and that's the one issue with boxing when you have all these independent promoters, right? It's like, well, if I don't have an independent promoter who's willing to go find these other guys who are willing to lose to me, then it can be tough at certain stages, right? So that's why you know the body, the organization can sometimes help and put those together. Another random question: what's the strangest thing that you've had happen to you on a fight night, like before the fight, or is there anything in the ring, or because you've been all over the world fighting, right? Is there anything super strange that's happened the night of, or even in the ring that you recall?
A lot of people don't know, but one of my boxing matches, I was up for like 36 hours. It was like years ago. I think it was back in 2008 or something like that. 5 hours energy drink, right? That was first came out, right? And somebody gave me this, said, look, you should take this before you fight. And I didn't know what it was. So I took it right after my weigh-in. I eat a meal and I took it. And that thing has so much vitamin B12. It kept me up until fight time the next day. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I was so exhausted. So that was a fun fact,
Did you win?
Yes, I won that fight. But I'm telling you, man, it was tough because I was trying to be sharp, man. If you haven't been sleeping, for a couple of days, for 36 hours, you exhausted and it's hard to stay focused.
That's insane, man. Yeah, I couldn't imagine going on a fight on 36 hours of no sleep. Did you get a chance to watch the main event? I was gonna ask what your thoughts were on Lombard versus Hunt.
Yeah, I haven't even got a chance to watch that fight yet. Or any other fights. I saw my fight for the first time the other day, and like I said, you have to watch it in slow motion to see all the punch that is being missed and all the other things that be. Like I said, Luis Palomino is a crafty veteran. He fights very dirty. I mean, if you watch it in slow motion, you see that he's leaning with his head. So if I'm happen to be there with my face, he's gonna tag me with that head. So like I said, in the fourth round, I haven't got a chance to finish making those clips yet because the fans want to see, because my face at the end of the fight, it was hit by 3-4 headbutts that bruised it up really worse. You know what I mean? I got hit maybe like five times from 5 jabs, 3-4 jabs, and maybe one right hand. But so if you watch Bedford's fight, I got hit more than that. My face don't get swelled up that easily unless it was something hard.
I guess the last question I got for you here is, if March happens, you win the rematch, or no, you said, sorry, March you're looking to either get the rematch with Palomino, or you'd like a fight with Artem Lobov.
Right.
Okay, cool. That answers anything. Is there anything else that you wanted a message you want to give to the fans, or any sponsors you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I want to, like I said, I hope to fight Palomino next. I mean, that's my ultimate goal right now, to win the 155-pound title. And we have true animosity towards you. I mean, I don't like this guy. This guy keep talking down on me and belittling me every time. Even after the post-fight, he's still talking shit. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. Like me, I speak it the way it is. He talks shit, so I dislike this guy. So that's the fight I want right now. If the Autumn fight or any other big names out there is available, I would like to take that fight. But I think it only makes sense for me to capture that title and rematch. And I tell you right now, I'm going to be way, way, way better when I fight him for the second time, because I already haven't. He's not going to improve any more than what he is. You're only going to see improvement from me. They haven't seen me perform my fullest potential. So if you see the fight close in this fight, the next fight, I'm going to dominate and knock him out. Because then I'm gonna close the distance better and be sharper. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make him quit.
Like I said, you coming up 2 weight classes and clearly being whichever way you scored it, it was a very close fight regardless. So I think there's a lot to that. And I think it adds more drama too. They clearly want to if Chad Mendes wins in February, they're gonna want him to fight for the belt. So it adds more drama both sides to have you guys have a rematch, and then maybe the winner of him in the spring, the winner of that fight in the spring, right? So. Either way, man, if you're fighting in March, I'll be there. So I'm excited to see it. But man, I really appreciate you coming on and spending some time on Inside Fighting. And man, I'm excited for your next fight. It was super happy. Even though the outcome didn't come your way, I was really excited to see you fight. And I think you proved a lot of people wrong, regardless.
Like I said, I fight for the fans. I always take on the biggest challenge, and right now we need to get that rematch and let the fans see it again one more time and replay that. And I want to thank all the fans, you know, for all the love and support everywhere who tuned in, and then all my sponsor, Toyota Vero Beach was one of my biggest sponsors right here, and all my auto sponsor that it was all the way from Hawaii, you know, the Army National Guard and a couple other ones. Thank you very much for your love always.
Amazing, man. Well, can't wait to see you back in action. I'll see you in March, and yeah, I'm sure we'll talk when you got your next fight going, man. But have a great day.
Thank you very much for your time. See you soon.
Awesome, man. Take care.
Peace.